Doctors are the real drug dealers.
The perfect's enemy of the good.
You can be healthier if you would just stay out the drive-through a little bit more.
Just a little bit more.
Why are we not creating more opportunities for our own farmers? The average American, especially where I come from, he ain't thought about this shit.
Yeah. People said let's put Fauci in prison. Like, I don't disagree.
Cause my sister,
Yeah.
she worked in the medical field.
Oh,
they
God.
made them get up. She had a stroke.
And the secretary was very clear about this. It's like, doesn't oppose vaccines. But you go into the doctor's office and they don't expect you to ask questions.
You are encouraged to question your doctors about any and everything that is being done to you.
Yep.
What up, though? This is Big OG TrickTrick live in the studio. I got my friend and family member, Hannah Anderson from MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. Hey, how you doing, lady?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here.
We finna talk some shit now, you know that, don't you?
I hope so.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't be here if we weren't.
All right. I had dinner with the secretary, with Kid Rock, Secretary Kennedy, and I told him, I said, you know, I went in the grocery store the other day, and I went to the section that says healthy options.
Yeah.
And I said, this is a big-ass grocery store. And I'm looking around, I said, well, if this the healthy shit, then what the fuck is the rest of this shit? And he said, right. I was like, yeah, man, you got a job ahead of you, buddy, because grocery stores are loaded with trash.
Yeah, they are.
And people are funneling into these stores just buying loads.
And they don't even know. They don't
know.
know. I mean, this is what sucks is they don't know what's healthy or not. Because they're seeing on Instagram. And I know, like, my whole algorithm on Instagram is like, you're only healthy if you triple filter your water and you buy this $10,000 device and you're only eating kale from this farm in Scotland. And I'm being facetious, but it's like, actually, it's easier to be healthier than you think. Because MAHA's for everyone. And MAHA's not just for the, like, super rich moms. MAHA's not just for the biohackers. Like, MAHA's for everyone. And so it's for the people. Like, I grew up with a single mom. We had a regimen. This is what we eat on Mondays. This is what we eat on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and repeat. Because she was working. She was a single mom. She had too much to do. And she said, this is the only way I can keep things straight. 3-ingredient meals. But they were fresh ingredients. There were 3-ingredient meals. And this is what people need to realize. Like, kids are getting 70%, I think, of their calories from ultra-processed food. 70%. From Ritz Bits and crackers and candy and soda and all sorts of frozen pizzas and other things like that. Lunchables. Imagine what you did if you can just drop that down to 50%. 40%. It doesn't need to be 0. And there are moms out there who feel like the only way to be MAHA is like organic blueberries and vegetables and no snacks and like, how dare you if your kid goes on a field trip and has some cookies. You're a bad mom. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're just, because at home you're giving him, like, you got some ground beef, you threw some taco seasoning on that, and you did some tacos, right? You found, like, a pork chop. We did pork chop and applesauce. I don't know. That's Mississippi right there for you. But
pork chop and applesauce?
Yeah, pork chop and applesauce. That's what we called it. So we had pork chop, cream of mushroom soup, and applesauce.
Okay.
3 ingredients. But that was, and I'm sure there's some preservatives in that cream of mushroom soup that aren't so great for you. But at the end of the day, that's a fruit, that's a vegetable, and that's a protein. Yeah. And it's better than McDonald's.
It's definitely better than McDonald's.
And I think it sucks because it's like, people need to know that you can be MAHA, you can be healthy if you just can kind of cook at home a little bit more.
And stay out the drive-through.
Yeah, and stay out of the drive-through.
Yeah.
You're going to save money, too.
Yes, indeed. That's a very, very, very interesting point that I haven't heard anyone simplify to that extent yet, that you can be healthier if you would just stay out the drive-through a little bit more.
Stay out of the drive-through. Just a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Because, I mean, like, because sometimes it's just easier. Like, sometimes if single moms and single parents, my mom's a saint. My mom is a saint from heaven. Like, I don't know how she did it. To cook almost every single night. I'm never going to tell a single mom that is working and has kids that she cannot be in the drive-thru at all.
Right.
I'm going to just say, can you take some noodles and some cheese and some milk and cook that at home?
Yeah.
Because it will be cheaper and it will be a little bit healthier. Because it's about, I mean, you probably learned this from working out.
Noodles, but my bad.
Not ramen noodles, not with all that MSG, but like, I always learned working out, you're going to do what actually you want to do and what works for you. I'm not going to do, if I don't feel like running, I'm probably not going to work out.
Right.
But if I like Pilates or walking on an incline or spin class or any other exercise, I should probably do that, even if it's not like the exercise, because that's the exercise I'm going to do.
Right.
Same thing with eating. If you can eat a little bit healthier, that's great.
Right. How has Maha taken steps to like promoting healthier? You know, I understand changing the regulations is beautiful and producing orders for people to stop using certain chemicals, and that's a beautiful thing. But like to promote, you know, like what we're discussing now, to actually promote and tell mothers across America, or fathers, single fathers and mothers across America, that, or just families, period, like you can be healthier by staying out of the drive-thru a little bit more, or you can be healthier by cooking more at home, or, you know, making enough to eat leftovers, you know, instead of a bunch of ultra-processed foods.
Because I think, this is just my bias, is I think it's first, the perfect's the enemy of the good. So as long as you're telling people they don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be the Gwyneth Paltrow, you know, only kale kind of thing. You can have like a Diet Coke. You can have like, if you really, no one's going to tell you that you can't have a Gatorade after soccer practice, or you can't have, like if they're having muffins over there, like that is the perfect, and that's the enemy of the good. So first, parents need to know that. I think the second that they're doing is looking for practical ways to show people that we should be doing more healthy food. So we were in Miami just last week with the secretary, and we rolled out, you know, to support the secretary, we did this whole huge initiative at the hospital. Because hospitals are one of the worst people at this. They're giving you Cheerios, and they're giving you Jell-O. They're giving you all sorts of things that aren't good for you in the hospital.
Right.
And people are having, like, Coca-Cola after a heart surgery.
Yeah, Pepsi.
And I'm like, I'm not going to fuss if you're a kid who just had chemotherapy and you want a milkshake. Like, I'm not, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about hospitals serving high-calorie, ultra-processed food to people who have, like, chronic congestive heart failure. Like, that's not good. Right. So, like, that's crazy.
Well, doctors prescribing medicine that I've seen firsthand, doctors prescribing medicine that contains soy, knowing that soy feeds cancer.
And inflammation. And all these foods, the ultra-processed, they're messing with your gut. Yeah. And your gut is one of the most important things in helping you reduce your inflammation. It's linked to everything from cancer to dementia and Alzheimer's and everything in between. And it's destroying all your, like, the microbiome. And so we went down to Florida to talk to the secretary and promote just a little bit more purchasing by the hospital from farmers in Florida. Think about how crazy we've gotten. We had to go down to Florida to promote Florida hospitals in Florida purchasing oranges from Florida. Because that's how crazy the system has gotten. That they're not allowed to buy the Florida oranges anymore. What? They gotta buy the ultra-processed whatever vitamin C from a subsidiary of a food company.
That's probably owned by China.
Probably owned by China, a big conglomerate that's freezing food, sending it in from another state into Florida. And the Florida farmers are like, hey, can we help you?
We got oranges.
Like, we got the oranges.
Yeah, like California.
Florida beef Florida Beef's like, hey, we got cows. Like, can we give you some ground beef? Can we give you some lean steak? Can we give you anything? But the hospitals are like, what? We got these middlemen, like, we can't buy from you. And so we went down to Florida just to help people see, like, hey, actually a hospital can serve you healthy food
Now,
from the state that you live in.
Now, when it comes to that type of what I would like to call a monopoly, when they monopolize something like oranges and actually take away from the agriculture in Florida, a place that's known for orange juice, wouldn't it be appropriate to hold those people accountable and for like, what are you doing? Why? Who wrote this? Why are the people of Florida not allowed to sell Florida oranges to Floridians? I don't. What steps or if any, has any steps been done to hold those companies? Because obviously a monopoly is not a mistake.
Yeah.
It's intentional, and whoever programmed that intention should be held responsible and accountable for these seedless oranges and oranges that smash like styrofoam paper. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, hey, you selling poison to the American people. Where I come from, we say we should beat your ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the craziest thing is at Thanksgiving, we went to the Costco, and I said, anyone going to the Costco at Thanksgiving it's just a bad time. But you know what? Again, my saint of a mother, she says, hey, can you go to the Costco? I say, yep, because you're a saint. You're a saint. I'm going to go to the Costco for you. I go to the Costco. I look around. She's like, I need some garlic. I said, okay. I pick up a bag of garlic, and I know because the farmers around here have been telling me some things about garlic, and it's grown in the United States. I said, that's great. Pick up the bag of garlic. It's like $3 for a bazillion garlics, and it says product of the United States. I said, okay, that's so interesting. I want to do some research. Where's this garlic from? I end up going on a whole garlic adventure. Right, I'm in the weeds. I'm in a garlic adventure. I'm looking at where the garlic was shipped from. Turns out that garlic was from China, not from the United States, because all the crooked laws that have been on the books tell you that garlic can be product of the United States if it's all put in a bag in California. That garlic's from China. Garlic's from China. And you know what's even worse is that we've been trying to cut down on stuff like this from China. China has been sneaking stuff in. They've been undercutting prices. So, like, Chinese garlic is really bad for you. It's soaked in pesticides that have been banned in the United States for 30 years. They move it through. They put other countries' labels on it to get around our trade laws. The Chinese garlic has different rules. So if you sell garlic to the Chinese people from China, they have different rules on the pesticides and how to grow it. But if you're selling it to the United States, they say soak that shit in DDT. They say whatever and sell it to the United States.
What's DDT?
It's like one of those old school pesticides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pesticide. Okay.
Old, so bad, been banned in the United States for a long time because of how bad it is.
Now
garlic. And you and I are eating this garlic all the time because at the Costco it says product of the United States, and you're like, damn right, product of the United States.
But it's actually not.
It's from China. And this is happening all over the place because I don't want to pick on the hospitals are doing the best they can.
The money they make, let's be honest.
Okay, well.
Nah, the money these motherfuckers make, they're not doing the best they can.
I like to believe, we were down there in Florida, and I'm riding high on. They looked like they were doing a great job. I was really proud of them. But I'm telling you, we got other problems. We got Chinese garlic and all sorts of food. People want to go after pesticides, and I think it's a good conversation.
Indeed.
But let me tell you, what about the fruit that we're importing from Mexico?
Same.
What is sprayed on that? It's probably not American pesticides. It's probably formaldehyde from China. You see all of the stuff that's coming in from over the border, and I like fruit that doesn't grow in the United States. Like, I like a banana, but what are they spraying on it from other countries? And it's coming over the border, and they're not testing more than a tiny, tiny percentage of that.
How do we stop it?
You got to get the FDA. I mean, you got to get Marty over at the FDA and Administrator Zeldin over at EPA.
And
You got to get them to focus on it and say, like, we need you to inspect more of these things. But the problem is, since we're importing all of it, like, we can only test a small amount of the fruit.
So why are we not, I mean, as Americans and as America first, why are we not creating more opportunities for our own farmers and our own, like the real
That was my
made in
garlic
America?
adventure. That was my garlic adventure because garlic you can grow in the United States really easily.
Yeah. So I don't understand how it's like, okay, we're importing this stuff, so how about we need to shut that down?
Yeah.
Now we all have to get our fruit from the boys at home,
Yeah.
and the men and women in America,
Yeah.
the farmers in America.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a no-brainer.
I know.
Is
I agree
it
with
possibly is it possible that somebody is taking money under the table or something to? I don't give a fuck.
No.
We can go. Yeah, you know.
No, I'm like.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I get really sad when I start hearing some of the things that in government of like, how did we get here? Because I'm picking on garlic. Because I did all this research over Thanksgiving. My mom's like, "What are you doing over there?" I said, "I have to write this paper on garlic, like a true nerd." And I'm looking it up, and I'm like, "How did we get so bad when garlic is a crop that farmers could produce?" And garlic's just one example. American farmers can make, American people could use, has great health benefits, but instead we're importing all of it from China, and they're getting by with rules and tariffs. And it's like, this is what in government we call corporate cronyism or crony capitalism, where their regulations are written to benefit a few people, and it hurts everyone else.
Everyone else.
And when I think of President Trump, it's really like tries to fight the crony capitalism because he's not anti-business. He's just anti-business that's going to hurt you and me. Like, he's anti-business that's like, well, that rule only actually benefits this one company, and it actually hurts Hannah when it executes. So, you know, hopefully we can, everyone's doing a great job trying to fight it. And again, I'm picking on garlic, but Brooke over at USDA, who's the Department of Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins, she just came out with this new rule of like when it says made in the USA, it's actually made in the USA.
Period.
Yeah.
Love it.
Period. Dead stop.
Period.
No, like it was bagged in the United States, but actually the garlic, you don't care where the bag's from.
Right.
I care where the garlic's from, and it's from China.
So will they set up the right regulatory
Framework?
Yes, framework
know.
to make sure.
And they're
that-
working on it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
You see, I've got
Love
you
Brooke.
talking about garlic. I've got you talking about regulation.
No, but that's
crony
important
capitalism.
because people don't know that. That's
Yeah.
important. Like the average American, especially where I come from, he ain't thought about this shit.
Yeah,
But
he's thought
it's
about
so
garlic
important.
makes my chicken
But
taste good.
but he also is trying to figure out why his wife
Yeah,
has cancer
yeah,
at 35,
Yep.
or why his daughter has cancer at 12,
yep.
or his son
Yep.
is
Cancer, asthma, chronic disease, kids getting sicker sooner,
Autism.
colorectal cancer,
Yeah.
autism. I mean, these things are. My dad died when I was 6 years old from cancer that we think he got from the walls.
See,
When he was just doing a home improvement project and he got lung cancer, never smoked a day in his life.
asbestos.
Asbestos. My mom got cancer from lipoma, which is a soft tissue cancer, like a sarcoma. It spread throughout our body. We said we don't know where that came from. My stepdad got cancer because he was in the burn pits out in the Gulf War because he was in the Army. He got cancer, took out most of his teeth, throat cancer, and they think it's the burn pits. So I'm with you, like, cancer's clearly in my genes somewhere. So that, I mean, makes it a little bit more understandable. But there are kids out there who are getting colon cancer, colorectal cancer, pancreatic cancer. And if you get cancer, you're in the best country, in the full stop, to get cancer in, because we've got the best treatments. Mm-hmm. But, like, the literature that's coming out now, after COVID, people are like, why is everyone getting cancer? And they're finding that in some of these really fast-growing cancer cells, you know what they're finding in it?
Vaccine.
COVID.
COVID.
In the cancer cells.
In the cancer cells. I mean, once again, there's a huge lack of accountability for the people who are responsible.
It's okay. You can use the full word, because
the
I agree with you.
motherfuckers who are responsible for it. Like, somebody is behind this cash grab, and they shitting on every American to lace their own pockets.
Yep.
Like, we should literally be publicly executing these motherfuckers.
I mean, people said, let's put Fauci in prison. Like, I don't disagree.
I don't either.
I mean, lying to the American people.
He wanted the people not off the record, but off the subject on it. He wanted the people, so I got this thing I call on site. Mm-hmm. That means when I see you, I'm fucking you up on site. Fauci, listen.
I know.
It's on site with this nigga. Because my sister, she worked in the medical field. She worked in the hospital. They made them get up. She had a stroke. This woman been a gospel, Jesus loving Christian apostolic.
At the nurse, who's a nurse, she knows what she needs to do.
She wasn't a nurse. She worked in human resources.
In human resources.
And they made her get everyone. And she had a stroke. Her whole left side of her body paralyzed now. My sister, the healthiest person we ever knew. She never done a drug. She never took a drink. She never done nothing. She been in church since she was 12. Since she was like 14.
Yeah.
She's never been involved in nothing. Because like, I drank and smoked way more than her.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. She had a stroke. And I'm like, you know what? That vaccine, I honestly believe that did that to her.
Yeah. And it's crazy because there were people like Governor Hochul out in New York who were firing you. You were fired. There's a case in the Supreme Court right now that the Solicitor General is currently writing the position of the United States. Because they're trying to figure out, where do we stand on this? And I think I have a good understanding of where, the president and the secretary stand on this. But people said, I don't want to get the vaccine. I'm protected under the only thing that could protect you from getting the vaccine, which is my religion says. And that was the only way that you could not get the vaccine. Governor Hochul still fired those people from their jobs because she said, you have to get the vaccine. That case, people were fired back in 2021. It is 2026, they tell me, which is crazy. And these people are still trying to get justice because it's now going to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court's trying to figure out what to do on it, too. But think about that. If you decided you weren't going to get the vaccine 2021, you stand up to your employer, you say, you know what, I don't want to get the vaccine. Governor Hochul says, you know what, you're fired. 5 years later, you're like, what? I'm still fighting. Maybe I found another job. But think about that. That is unfair because you didn't get the vaccine that people had a lot of questions about. We knew, this is what I hate about COVID. We knew in April, because I was a staffer. I was a little public health staffer on Capitol Hill. And we knew, it came out in March, everyone was freaked out. And I said, a lot of grace. We didn't know what was happening. In March, sure, we shut it down for 2 weeks. We said, we'll figure it out after 2 weeks. The kids were going home for spring break. Okay. But in April, we knew that but COVID didn't impact kids. It didn't impact kids like it impacted adults. It was impacting sick adults, not like young adults. It was not, they compared it to the flu. The flu, think about it on both ends. Little kids and old adults. That's who needs the flu vaccine, they say. Because the little kids and the old people, like your grandparents, they're going to get really sick. Everyone else in the middle probably will be okay. But they were finding that people who had like a lot of heart conditions and your grandparents were really the only ones impacted significantly. The kids were fine. And they knew that in April. And they really knew that in May. But these governors, Newsom, Hochul, all these like lib states, they were like, well, they listened to the teachers' unions. And they kept the school shut down, and they told the kids they had to get vaccinated. The kids, again, they knew in April, in May, in June, that the kids, their bodies, like, couldn't actually get the virus because of the way, I'm not a doctor, Bible college, but the way that their cells are, it wasn't impacting them in the same way because of literally the size of the cell.
And their immune systems are stronger.
And their immune systems are stronger. And it's just crazy that they still said, you know what, all these kids in these schools had to get the vaccine. And now you're seeing a whole generation of boys grow up with all sorts of heart disease and heart failure and heart conditions because they had to get the vaccine, because they were forced to get the vaccine in the schools that they were in. It's crazy. Secretary Kennedy, because he spent his whole life on this issue, is really thinking about what are we putting in these kids. And what he had always talked about is in the 90s, the whole vaccine schedule, it didn't change. I'm trying to think. It was the Hep B vaccine. And his concern was always that
hepatitis B. Hepatitis
and they're giving this to kids fresh out of the womb. They're a minute old, and they're getting a vaccine for sexually transmitted diseases. And that's a tough one to explain. That's a tough one. I'm sure there's some kids that are born to some moms who have Hep B, and those kids probably need a vaccine for that. But as you could imagine, in my evangelical family, I didn't need a Hep B vaccine.
Right.
And kids born in the 90s were starting to get Hep B vaccines. They're starting to get a lot more vaccines. And Secretary Kennedy was really concerned because, you know, it's in these vaccines.
Mercury.
Aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
And so his whole life's work, he's written multiple books on this, is that it's something called adjuvant. So again, I had to learn all this. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. I knew private insurance. I knew COVID. I knew some FDA stuff. Mm. I never dug into vaccines until I worked for Secretary Kennedy. And it's when they give you the vaccine, there's something that has to stimulate the immune system so that because you know the basics of vaccines is like it's pretending to be the virus. It's a low dose form of the virus sometimes, so it can trick your immune system. So your immune system can catch and recognize like what's happening. So they call it an adjuvant. So I think like agitate. Mm-hmm. So aluminum adjuvant. And when you get the aluminum, they found it's like way more dosage of aluminum than an adult would ever get. Mm. And Secretary Kennedy always said 72 doses of vaccines. And think about aluminum in all of those. That's already exceeds the safe limit for adults. Of course, Secretary Kennedy has a concern because you're getting way more aluminum. And so he went back and said, well, what is that doing to the human body? Probably some bad things. And so that's from everything from like peanut allergies, autism, and he really wants, and what I love about the secretary is he wants to get to the bottom of it. So that was a lot of what I spent some time on at HHS is like, how do we design the scientific studies to actually assess this? Because the deep state had like completely suppressed anyone ever linking vaccines and autism. Because it's not, and the secretary was very clear about this, it's like he doesn't oppose vaccines. He just wants to understand the adjuvant. He wants to understand why it's given. He wants to know the schedule. Because no one studied all of these vaccines together. He just said, I want to study it all together. Mm-hmm. The adjuvant, could we do something better? So it's not an aluminum adjuvant, it's something different. So we're not giving kids so much of a dosage of aluminum. That was the law under Obamacare. They changed it so that if it landed on what's called the child immunization schedule.
So in order to receive Obamacare, you had
No.
Oh, okay. I'm trying.
No, you're good. And now we're into wacky insurance law. They said under Obamacare, any vaccine that's on that childhood schedule is free to you. So all the drug makers, like what you're talking about, wanted to push their vaccine onto that childhood schedule.
Because the government would pay for it, right?
No, because they'd make the insurance pay for it for you.
They make the insurance pay. Medicare or Obamacare.
Anyone.
Oh, okay.
And me with my AFPI insurance, with Obamacare, with Medicare, with Medicaid, it'd be paid for. And so if you're a drug company and you're thinking about, like how do you increase revenue? Well, if you can give your Hep B shot to kids at, 1 minute old and convince the CDC, that's all you had to convince. You no longer had to convince mom and dad. You no longer had to convince the doctor. All you had to convince was a panel of like 6 people at the CDC that everyone in America, as soon as they're born, needed to get the Hep B vaccine. That's all.
And these 6 motherfuckers, I'm sure, got envelopes.
And that's one of the first things that we did at HHS was say, if you have a conflict of interest, like, we're going to tell the world. But you're exactly right. There's so many, in healthcare, we call them perverse incentives, which is a really nice way of saying, like, there's some really
Sick
ugly
motherfuckers
laws.
writing these laws or encouraging these laws.
And they're not working for you and me.
Not at
because if a panel of 6 people at the CDC can decide that every kid in America needs a Hep B vaccine,
That's not cool.
and now every kid in America, because it's free, is going to get pushed on it, and drug companies are following the money and saying, well, if we can get our stuff listed on this schedule, then we can make more money. I'm not even like faulting them, and they're like following the money, but it's a really bad system.
Yeah, because it
yeah,
comes at the cost of the health of the children.
Yeah.
And that's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. Again, Hep B. What kid in America, what large population needs no one?
None.
No, it's a case-by-case basis. And you know what? That's what the secretary did. He said case-by-case basis.
Period.
Just talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Which is what everyone is losing their mind about. That is the change he made at HHS. He said, just go talk to your doctor.
Go talk to your doctor.
People want to assume. Secretary Kennedy is not forcing people to get a shot. That's what the other party did. He's saying, hey, before we shoot these kids up with a vaccine, maybe just talk to the doctor.
Talk to the doctor.
That's how crazy it is.
A lot of times the doctors are the promoters. Doctors are the real drug dealers.
But he didn't even go after that. He just said, if you want this vaccine, all you're going to do is talk to your doctor. If the doctor still says yes and you say yes, great. You can still get the vaccine. You can still give your newborn baby the Hep B vaccine. He's not banning it. He's not preventing you from getting it. He's just saying instead of basically getting shot up with the Hep B vaccine as soon as right out of the womb, that doctor is required to talk to you about it.
Talk to you about it before he just...
Yep.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't advise nobody letting none of them shoot shit in your newborn baby. It's new.
It's new.
It's brand new, untouched, clean, pure baby.
Yeah.
Not all this shit in their bloodstream that ultimately morph into some shit that'll kill them too early. I'm watching it.
No, and
I go to the hospitals to see these children with one of my organizations that I work with, Wish Upon a Teen. We go into hospitals and visit and help terminally ill children.
Terminally ill.
And it's like, why are I always ask, how did we get to this point where all these young people, these babies in the University of Michigan Hospital, Children's Hospital, or any hospital that we go into, it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
What? And then now it's like, it's full. It's like at one point we couldn't even go into the hospitals because of COVID and, other regulations or whatever to like just decorate their room while they're away getting a procedure done or something to help them feel better about having to be there. But it's like, it's so unfair that these babies have to endure so much. They're innocent. Why they do that to these children, to these babies like that? They innocent.
And you know, this is what really was the kicker for me, is when we started talking about mercury in the vaccines, is, you know, the only place left who still has mercury in the vaccines is the poorest part of the population. It's in the Medicaid program and in what's called the Vaccines for Children program. And the secretary said, we're not doing that anymore. We're not having this in the vaccine anymore. And people are like, no, you can't take it out. I said, what part of the population has this in the vaccine? Well, it's the Medicaid population. I said, why are we so good with the Medicaid population having this dangerous thing in the vaccine when, like, why are we okay with the Medicaid population? Why are we okay with the poor kids getting this?
Expendables.
And that, to me...
It's wrong.
I was like, are you kidding me?
That's hatred.
Why are we so good with... Well, they're like, well, you know, it's cheaper for the Medicaid program and wherever to give the... And I said, how much more expensive? I said, we'll give them the money. How much more expensive? It is pennies on the dollar more expensive for not even doses of vaccines, whole vials of like it is. They put it in there as a preservative because they want to do like 3 doses a vial, but you could have pre-dosed syringes, pre-dosed like everyone else is getting that. You and me, when we go to the CVS or we go wherever and get our flu vaccine, we're not getting mercury in those doses because we're getting a nice little no preservative vaccine.
They can keep that shit. I got some ginger and some turmeric and some honey and some liquor. I'm not taking none of that shit. Yeah. None of it. Not in my house, not with my grandchildren, I make my own ginger ale for my grandbaby.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I'm not.
How do you make that?
Ginger.
Yeah.
Lemon.
Yeah.
honey.
You have to ferment it, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I kind of boil it, blend it, then boil it again, then strain it.
This is where I get into like the real kind of weird part of Maha, because I bought a book about tinctures, and I didn't know what a tincture was, but that's like an herb medicine. I thought it was a funny word. I said tincture. That's kind of silly.
CBD tinctures.
Well, really I don't mess with that, but I'll tell you,
it's good.
I am really excited.
No, it's a good thing. CBD tincture is good. It's not a drug type thing. It's very, very, very safe, very healthy.
I believe you, but I'm just thinking of my goofy aunt who takes herself some little CBD gummies to go to sleep, and she gets a little silly. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I'm just thinking she'll dance around in the kitchen. She gets a little silly.
Well, where's that wrong?
It's not wrong. I'm just thinking about it because I can't think about how would I make a CBD little jelly gummy like a tincture like her. But I've gone full granola. I've decided I'm a farmer. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in Alexandria, Virginia. My entire counters are covered with like rosemary and herbs. I've decided to grow some carrots. I've never tried growing carrots, and I got some carrots on my counter. And I'm like, why did we stop doing this?
Why, exactly. Because it's not profitable for you to make your own medicine. That's why. Yeah. And they would rather, somebody who's writing big checks would rather you come to them for every ailment that they create. You know, it's one thing for a drug dealer to sit and wait for customers, but it's one thing for a drug dealer it's a better thing for him financially to create them. You create customers. I mean, no medicine that's available today has actually healed now fucking person. It's only to treat the illness until you die or until that illness causes another illness, you know. I mean, and this is a fact. How many people have you known weed themselves off blood pressure pills? Or, you know, very rarely do you hear cancer treatment actually curing cancer permanently. Very rarely.
I know, but here's the thing. There's some really cool stuff out there. They're 2-year-olds that died from like rare genetic disorders, and we got people in the United States figuring out how to keep them alive. That to me is like, that's where medicine should be focused.
Exactly.
You've got 2-year-olds dying. You've got, with cystic fibrosis, genetic disease. People's, lungs are choking them. You're born like it. Before, it was you would die of cystic fibrosis at 20-something years old because you would choke to death. You no more air could get in your lungs. And they figured out how to, you're right, it's not probably a cure forever, but they figured out how to extend these people's lives. And that's where I think modern medicine, and this is where I think people really love that kind of medicine, because they're figuring out it's not chemo where it's trying to kill the cancer before it kills you, and it's making you lose your hair and half your body weight in the process. But they're trying to figure out how do you actually, what are these? They kept a kid alive. A 2-year-old was going to die from a rare genetic condition. They kept that kid alive. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Cystic fibrosis, when it was killing people, they figured out how to keep those kids alive past their 20s. I have a friend who has cystic fibrosis, and he was part of the clinical trial, and he's like, I will live to see my grandchildren, and no one with cystic fibrosis
that's a beautiful thing.
But I think, to your point, because I think when people think about why is American medicine awesome, that's the awesome stuff.
That's the awesome stuff.
But when you've got grandma on 16 different medications, and she's like, which one do I take? And, I go see my grandma, and I'm like, Grandma, what are you doing here? What is going on? I'm like, why are you on all these? Well, my doctor said, does your doctor even know that you're on all these medicines? Of course not. He doesn't know. We get to the hospital. I was with my grandma at the hospital over Christmas because she's wonderful, another saint of a woman. 85 years old. When you're 85, they'll send you to the hospital for anything, right? She's got good insurance. They love her at the hospital because they just see a dollar sign.
Exactly. Good insurance.
Good insurance.
Yeah, something wrong with you.
So, yeah, we need to see you observation. So Grandma goes into the hospital. Grandma's just got a little bit of a high heart rate, but she's just recovering from an infection. She had a fever. And I worked in healthcare long enough to know that I'm not a doctor, but infection, your body's recovering, high heart rate. So we go in the hospital. And they're like, we're going to have to admit Grandma. I said, hold up. Before you admit Grandma, you got to tell me it's Christmas Eve. Why are we admitting Grandma? I think she's probably fine. We're just checking for an infection. We got to admit her. So they bring her back in the room. And I'm like, what are we doing? And as they are literally putting a syringe in her arm and squeezing it, they're like, this medicine will calm down her heart rate. I said, you didn't give me a chance to say anything. I said, what are you doing? You didn't ask her if she wanted this or not. You didn't ask me. You didn't explain what was going on. You just said, Grandma needs this. And as soon as they gave Grandma that medicine, her heart rate was crazy. It was throwing, they call it PVCs, where it's a lot of spikes. They were throwing her into AFib, right? They didn't explain what was going on with her heart. And they were like, well, look at her. Look at how crazy this is. We have to bring her back and admit her overnight. And I said, on Christmas Eve, you're going to make Grandma stay in the hospital. I said, you can make me stay in the hospital Christmas Eve, but you are not making... Grandma's got to see grandbabies. Grandma's got to see her great-grandkids. You're not making Grandma stay in the hospital. But sure enough, they're like, well, look at all this. And I said, you gave her that medicine, and you didn't even ask her. And they got a voodoo doll of me at this hospital now. But I was furious because I'm sitting there with the doctor. They didn't read her chart. They didn't read any of her back. They didn't listen to me. They're not asking for permission. They've just gotten so used to. And I've got some incredible doctors who want to tell me what's going on, who want to give me advice, but I think we've gotten so used to going into the hospital, and they've gotten so used to
whatever
not
they say is right.
Explaining.
Yeah.
And you deserve it.
You do.
If you go into the hospital, you deserve to have them explain
everything.
Everything.
Especially if you're finna invade my personal body space with it.
And especially if they're going to invade your grandma's personal body space with it.
Especially. I mean, you should know before you get... I believe every parent, every caretaker that's over anybody should you do have the right. Mm-hmm. But I think we should be more questionable about what it is that these doctors, don't just trust him because he bears the name doctor. Mm-hmm. That's a drug dealer. His job is to sell drugs. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. You don't come in there and he tell you how to get better. Mm-hmm. He tell you what I'm gonna give you to help you, not how to make it go away, not how to make sure you don't ever have this problem again, but what I can do to you and what I can give you to calm it down or bring it down, not correct it or fix it.
But and it's such a shame because I have doctors who are amazing, and I'll text them. And they say, you're probably fine. Just let it go. And I'm a little bit of hypochondriac. You work in healthcare long enough, I got the Whoop, I got the Oura Ring. I'm even wearing this little patch right now because, I like seeing, I'm not even pre-diabetic, but I like seeing, where my glucose is, like once a quarter, trying to figure out, wait, that energy drink that I drink on an empty stomach is probably not great for me.
At all.
Yeah, but, I wear it. It reminds me it's great. But my doctor is like, you're fine. When I was having it was a stressful job over at HHS. And I ground through all the cartilage in my jaw, right? Because, I'm clenching. Mm-hmm. So there's no more cartilage up in there. But I went to the emergency room because I was like, I'm having a heart attack. I'm convinced. And my doctor's like, oh my God, you're not having a heart attack. He said, you work out, you're healthy, you run, you feel good after exercising, you can spin, you're feeling like, what's your pulse? He said, you're fine. I was like, I'm having a heart attack. And you want doctors who are going to be like, I know your medical history, I know your family history, I know that you've never had a grandparent die of heart disease, you've never had a parent die of heart disease, you don't have any family history of that. You work out, you eat healthy generally, you keep drinking to an occasional glass of some whiskey with a friend. And you want a doctor who's doing that instead of a doctor that's like, oh, well, you had some anxiety, so I'm going to put you on an SSRI.
Right.
I'm going to put you on a blood pressure medicine. I'm going to put you on a statin. And those are good things, right? People who have really high cholesterol or really high blood pressure, I'm not going to fuss at people who said, I'm going to take that so I don't die.
Indeed.
But my doctor, when I told them, when I was at HHS and my blood pressure was a little high and I wasn't really eating much, he said, I want you to go to the gym. And I said, I don't have time for it. He said, I just want you to go walk on the treadmill. I said, that's not really a workout. He said, just listen to me. Go walk on the treadmill. And I walked on the treadmill for 30 minutes a morning, just with a little incline. And when I look back at last year, even when I was at HHS, it was the healthiest I was because it lowered my anxiety. It wasn't the work. When you think about a workout, you don't think, walk on a treadmill is a workout. But that was enough to lower my anxiety, lower my blood pressure, give me peace of mind, give me calm, and make everything a little bit better. And my doctor said, how about you try that before I put you on a medicine?
Any medicine, right. Right.
Because I don't want people to think that there's only bad doctors.
No.
We got some really
there are
good
some
doctors.
Really good, and my doctor, I do have a good family doctor, her as well, because she told me I don't like the blood pressure medicine that your last doctor put you on. I'm gonna put you on this one because I want to take you off of it.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I like her.
Yeah.
I like her. When I told her about, it was colonoscopy time, and I'm like, there's got to be another way.
There's got to be
another way. You're not digging in my ass, dog.
No.
We got to think of some other shit. I know it's something else. And y'all, this nigga over here playing. And she said, she laughed her ass off of this. She said, I'm going to send you this.
Yeah.
And this, all you got to do is this, that, and the other, and then send it back in. And I said, see, he was persistent.
Yeah.
About me, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, see, I want to go over here and fuck dog up for that. You know what I mean? Because why was you so hell-bent on doing it that way? And this lady just presented this new package like, yeah, you can do it this way. I'm like, man, see, him. No, I want to say his name, but I ain't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I never see him again and anybody mention his name to me. I'm going to say, get as far away from that jackass as you possibly can.
And this is what, oh man, you're preaching to the choir here, because you're doing what people have been trained to not do, which is take back your health. Take accountability and say, no. The only person in the system who cares about my health is me.
It's me.
Maybe your wife or maybe your kids care about it too, but like no one else is going to actually take care of you like you are.
Right.
And we've been trained that the system's going to take care of us, that the doctors are going to take, the hospital, the insurance is going to take care of us. But you know what's crazy? Is that the people who are on Medicaid actually have worse health outcomes than the people who don't have health insurance at all.
Ain't that something?
It's because the Medicaid is designed, and this is what's crazy, is the Biden administration talked about Medicaid, and they said, well, it's an economic investment into the, like, hospitals, the states, the everything. I said, what about the person on Medicaid?
What about the people?
Because I grew up on a lot of these programs, on and off Medicaid, CHIP. My mom said, we're getting off this as soon as I can. Because the doctors we saw, there's one in Texas. My mom, again, saint of a woman, she was like, you are brushing and you are flossing. And she would watch us every night, you know, because you're like trying to trick mom. And mom's like, I saw you brush your teeth. I know what you're doing. We went to a dentist when I was in Texas. We went to a dentist and they were like, well, you have 8 cavities. Mom was like, 8 cavities? 8 cavities. I watch these kids. These kids don't eat any sugar. Like, these kids, I'm watching them twice a day brush their teeth. 8 cavities. 8 cavities.
Show them to me.
She says, we're getting out of here. And we didn't see a dentist for a little bit because we couldn't afford it. But, like, I learned later when I was doing this health policy, the fraud with Medicaid dentists, it's because they're filling your teeth. It doesn't matter. It's low harm. It's not going to hurt you if they fill a cavity that doesn't exist. They're like, well, whatever, and I'll make a buck. And this is what's crazy is, like, Medicaid is filled with that kind of attitude.
With that type of attitude.
Because they're not working for you anymore. They're working for the system. They're working for the whatever. And this is why they did a huge study after they expanded Medicaid. It's called the Oregon study. Huge study. They were like, we're going to find that now that we expanded Medicaid, everyone's going to have better health care. And you know what they found? Worse. They were shocked.
Yeah.
So then Kaiser Family Foundation, they were like, no, they must have been wrong. So they did this huge, like, 700 study, like, systematic review of Medicaid. And they found they could only find that access increased. So technically you could see more doctors. But the only thing that changed about people's health was that they felt better about their health because they could see more doctors. Their actual health did not change.
But they saw so many doctors.
They were like, they could, yeah. They're like, yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
But this is like, you have, like, this is my unpopular opinion. Like, you got to get off of Medicaid as soon as possible.
Indeed.
Because it's not helping people. It is keeping you unhealthy. Like, the system is not designed, as it currently stands, the system is not designed to keep you healthy. It's designed to make people money. And you're just kind of a cog in the wheel. So if you're trusting that Medicaid's going to make you healthy or the system's going to make you healthy, it's not the case. The only thing that's going to make you healthy is you. And taking accountability. And this is why, like, this is another thing, is politicians hate when you bring up how can you reform these programs? Because they're like, it's such a political, no one wants to talk about how to actually help the person because they can just beat people over the head with saying, well, why do you want to take Medicaid away from people? I don't want to take Medicaid away from people. I want people to actually be healthy, and I want to give them more options than just Medicaid.
Just Medicaid.
Because Medicaid's actually not helping.
Healthy, right. It's not healthy. It's not healthy, right.
So if you are a kid in California on Medicaid, you have long wait times. You can't go see a doctor. So you have a single mom, again, like my family, single mom, her spouse died. You're trying to make it. You're doing the best you can. You're working. You're trying to get your kid healthy food. But the only Medicaid doctor is an hour away. And you're like, well, I work a $17 an hour job. And I got to go pick my kid up from school. Okay, check him out of school. Maybe that's 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go to the doctor. Maybe that's 30 hour away. You got to sit in the waiting room. That's 30 minutes. You got to see the doctor 5, 10, 20 minutes. I don't know. And you check out and it's free. And you say, okay, well, that's great. And we're good. But then you got to do everything in reverse. You got to go take the kid back to school. You got to check him back in. You got to get back to work. And a lot of these people are seeing, like, that was a half day's wages.
Period.
That wasn't free. But the politicians up here will say, but that's free health care. Like, we're just giving people free health care. Why was the doctor an hour away? Why couldn't they see someone closer? Why did they have to go through the work hours? Why did they have to go during school hours? If you said to that family, that moms and dads, single parents, they're doing kitchen table math. They're not doing this like DC math. They are doing what is cheaper right now? Mm-hmm. If you said to that family, either half a day's wages or pay $5 and go see the doctor right now down the street. Mm-hmm. Mom would say, easy, $5 down the street, in and out on lunch break. Like, that's it. Mm-hmm. But politicians are not thinking like that. They're thinking, well, Medicaid, we just, it's free. It will be free. We don't want... And they're not actually thinking, how do you help people on Medicaid? How do you help people actually be healthy on Medicaid? They just want the talking point. Mm-hmm. They don't actually want to help. So, my unpopular advice is get off of Medicaid as soon as you can.
Where does our Secretary Kennedy and President Trump stand on an issue like that, as far as like Medicaid being not good? I mean, for many Americans, and with Medicaid being like hella relevant in the Black community. Yeah. Like, are there any steps being made to correct that issue?
Yeah.
By Secretary and President?
Well, work requirements.
Okay.
And then we're not talking about the moms.
Okay.
If you're a mom that's got 4 kids and you're taking care of the kids and you're working, or even if you're taking care of kids, we're talking about the slackers who are on Medicaid. They shouldn't be on Medicaid, but they're taking up a spot. They're taking up a spot. They're taking up money. They're taking doctors. They're taking time. Mm-hmm. Even worse in California, you got illegal immigrants. You got crime lords. What's crazy in California, because of the way that they do their testing for eligibility on Medicaid, you could be like the kingpin of drug trafficking in California. And because of the way they test it, if you don't have, you're not going to have legally reported income because you're a drug lord. But according to the paperwork, you'd be eligible for Medicaid. Maybe you've got millions of dollars illegally
in the wall. But on record,
you got bricks of heroin worth millions of dollars.
My baby said bricks of heroin.
You got bricks of heroin. But you're eligible for Medicaid, right, which is for incredibly impoverished children and the disabled. But don't worry, because according to California, you're eligible for Medicaid. Right. And that means you're taking a spot, you're taking a doctor, you're taking space. And the only way that they make more space for people on Medicaid is they pay doctors less. And if you're going to pay all the doctors less people are going to take Medicaid, which means there's going to be less doctors to see the kid. And if you're talking about I don't know, you're maybe paying $4,000 a kid on Medicaid, but now you've got to let in all these other people onto Medicaid that don't need to be on Medicaid. Now you're crowding out the kids. So work requirement, first thing, because if you can't even volunteer 10 hours a week, because we're not talking about the moms, we're not talking about veterans, we're not talking about parents, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the person who is perfectly capable and okay to go get a job.
Able to do anything.
And they can't even volunteer
right.
at the church for 10
right.
hours a month.
Right.
That's a slacker. They don't need to be on the program for America's poorest children.
Right.
This is a program for poor children, pregnant moms, and poor single moms.
Right.
This is not a program for, like, maybe you just didn't want to go get a job.
Right.
You couldn't even volunteer at the church.
Right. Nothing. You're doing nothing.
You're doing nothing. So
No.
that's the first thing that they're doing.
Now, what about sickle cell? Because sickle cell run rapid in the black community. How have they addressed that issue?
They got a new drug.
Really? A new drug.
So Senator Tim Scott he's from South Carolina.
I know Tim Scott.
He's like really focused on this. So they got new drugs for it, like these drugs that cure.
Cure.
So it's not just a treatment; it's a cure.
Cure. Yes.
But it's expensive.
Naturally.
Of course.
Go fucking figure. We don't want to help
yeah.
people for free. Hell no.
But Senator Scott has been like huge advocate for all these creative ways because he's a problem solver. So instead of just saying, he said, no, we're going to get in the weeds and we're actually going to solve the problem. So how do we pay for it? And they figured out new ways to pay for it. They figured out creative solutions. They work with the drug companies. They work with the Medicaid program. They work with Dr. Oz and Secretary Kennedy and the president, and they figured it all out so that every American, especially like every black American who's dealing with sickle cell, can afford it.
So basically, President Trump and Secretary Kennedy worked with Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott, to create a cure for sickle cell and make it more affordable.
Yep. And they announced it last April.
Yeah.
In
A lot
South
of
Carolina.
people probably didn't hear that shit, but I just want to make sure
You heard it.
stuck on it again. Like, so President Trump,
Senator Kennedy,
Secretary Kennedy and Senator Tim Scott work together to create a cure, a drug that cures sickle cell, a disease that's rampant in the black community, and to cure it and make it affordable when it was expensive and many people couldn't afford it. So now they work with Medicaid and other
to actually get people to afford
actually
it
get people to afford
because they're solving problems.
the cure to sickle cell.
You got it.
That is solving the problem. That is making America healthy again.
Yeah, that's like problem
That is
solving.
making America great again because a healthier America is a great America.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I loved that. Thank you for all of that insight and information.
I'm just glad you let me yap for so long. So basically, I went into interviews, and they were like, hey, we hear that you want to be an assistant. I said, I want to do policy. And they said, but you don't have any experience. I said, I want to do policy. And so finally, I got one of these guys to let me do policy. So I did policy for him, and he was pretty important. He was on a committee that did all the healthcare stuff. And I did healthcare for him. And then he lost his race, so I had to find another job. And then I ended up going to another Texas member. And I was just begging for a job. I got hired in a bathroom. They're like,
dig that.
They said, oh, you want a job? I said, very much so, thank you. And they said, we only have one job left, it's policy. I said, that's all I want to do.
That's what you want.
And they said, well, this guy's really interested in Homeland Security and defense and all that. I said, that's fine. I want to do healthcare and energy and, like, transportation. And so no one's paying attention to me, right? I'm like a junior legislative assistant. I'm in the back. The boss comes back in the back 2 months in, and he says, so my top priorities in Congress are going to be healthcare, energy, and transportation. And I look down, and I'm like, that's me.
Dig.
And we're off to the races. And so, you know, I just, again, like, I'm a girl who went to Bible college. Like, I didn't know anything. I don't have a JD. I don't have an advanced degree. I went to Bible college where you're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to dance. You're not allowed to have boys over in your dorm. You have to live in the dorms for 4 years.
Shit.
You take classes on the Bible for every semester. And I came out here.
4 years.
4 years. I loved it. I would do it all over again. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing what happens when you don't drink in college. You actually learn something. I mean, I made up for it out here, but I went, okay, you would hate this. You would hate this because the thing is, when I came out here, Bible college, I have had a sip of a margarita at a wedding. You know, like I went to a party in college and had like 3 spritzes, not in college, in high school. I come out here and there's this thing called the National Prayer Breakfast. That's a big deal. And at the National Prayer Breakfast, I was hanging out with the Middle Eastern Christians. And those are the Christians that are like, drinking is just... Jesus had the wine.
Wine at the wedding.
And he said, he's probably had some tequila too. So me...
Jesus.
I'm out there, brother. I went from not drinking at all during college. Not a lick during college. First night out in Washington, D.C., I go to the prayer breakfast. I have 8 shots of tequila.
Oh, shit.
Because you don't know. You know, you're just drinking them like water. You're like, I don't think this tastes very good, but I don't think anything tastes good. 8 shots of tequila. I was out till 4 in the morning smoking hookah with the Middle Eastern Christians.
Why?
And I did not feel good the next day.
That wasn't good tequila.
and so, you know, that was my, like, ride out to D.C. I was looking for a job, and I ended up getting a job with a congressman from Pennsylvania because, you know, I had a lot of gumption. And I'm sitting there with him, congressman. And you're not supposed to fuss at the congressman. You're supposed to sit there and you're, yes, sir, of course, yeah. This congressman is talking about his wins on health care when he was a state legislator. And he's like, when I did this thing out in the State House, I said, no, sir, you didn't. And I was like, oh, no. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, that's wrong. You actually did it this way. And he's like, she's hired.
That's right.
And I said, thank God. Because anyone else would have been like, that girl.
Folded around.
That girl.
Yeah, you got to be yourself so people accept you for who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, see? Worked like a charm.
I know. And so it never stopped. You know, I've just gotten myself some interesting situations. But even working for Secretary Kennedy, they're like, so what kind of job do you want? I said, I'd like the Deputy Chief of Staff job. And they said, you don't want like an advisor job? And I said, no, I'd like the Deputy Chief of Staff job. Thank you very much. And sure enough, that's the job they gave me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And how long have you... But that's just...
So I was there for about almost 7 months, 7 months. And it was great because I helped them get started. So, you know, I was leading a lot of the transition work. Because, you know, before the president comes in, you gotta work, right? Like, we can't have 3 months of prep time for next president who wants to get to work. So I was here at AFPI, and we were just in the weeds. We were like, oh my, what do we do? How do you start a department? You're like looking through all the materials, and no one's telling you, what do you do on day one? What do you do on day one? Because you get in the building, and you're like, we got to do something. And you're like, we probably need to stop all the bad things. And you're like, okay, great. How do you do that? So we had to make this whole playbook of like, how do you actually stop the bad stuff? How do you get started on the good stuff? How do you stop the grants? How do you start doing all this stuff on gender? You know, and actually defining boys are boys and girls are girls. How do you do all that? So we were doing all the transition work. We started in the summer, so 2024. President wins in November, and we formalize the transition, go off to the races. So I was doing that, working through that all the way up to January 20th in 2025. We walk into that building, HHS, at 9 o'clock in the morning. And me and the chief of staff and a few others, she turns to me and she's like, so what do we do? And you're like, oh, what do we do?
Oh, me.
We're gonna make America healthy again. I said, damn it, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna maha.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, and how do we maha? I said, we're gonna stop everything that wasn't maha.
If it's not healthy, we're getting rid of it.
But you know, it's crazy because you're sitting in this building. At the time, I was 32 years old, and I'm like, I have to have a plan. And you have a PLA, you have a PLA, you don't have a PLAN, you have a PLA. And we're like, we're going to make it work. And sure enough, we did. I mean, Secretary Kennedy, like, went off to the races. He got in, and we were doing stuff. We were cleaning up food and cleaning up medicine and bringing accountability and bringing price transparency and drug prices down. And it was really, really impressive how fast we were able to get to work. And it's because the president and Secretary Kennedy, they're go-getters. They're problem solvers. So, like, with government, and you probably know this from watching all of it, is everyone is really focused on, like, bureaucracy or a new program, but that doesn't solve problems.
Right.
And this is what I love about working for President Trump, for Secretary Kennedy, love working here, is because it's all about how do you solve the problem. It's not about, like, how do you make a new program that can benefit people, kind of. It's like, no. Like, the president says the drug costs are too high. So what do? We lower the drug costs.
Lower the drug costs, right?
Yeah. The president says too many people have surprise bills. So what do? Well, let's end surprise bills. Let's give people some knowledge on their prices. Secretary says people are getting sick because they don't know what's in their food. So what do? Make sure they know what's in their food. Mm-hmm. But what's unique about, the secretary, the president, they don't need it to be like a new regulation or a new law. They'll just go call the companies.
Period.
But a dead stop. And that's what the secretary would do. He would just call the companies. Hey, what's going on? And the companies would call me because I was like the head of the policy shop at HHS. Companies would call me. They said, hey, I got a call from Secretary Kennedy. What do I do? I said, well, answer the phone. Like, one, answer the phone. Two, just, he's being very honest with you. So if he's saying, go clean up the food, go clean up the food.
Go clean up the food.
They're like, yeah, but what's the other shoe to drop? I said, there's no other shoe to drop. The man says what he means and means what he says. Like, he wants you to clean up the food. They're like, yeah, but he probably has some ulterior motive. I said, the man is 70-something years old. I said, what man that age is not telling you exactly what he wants done?
I can't even understand what type of ulterior motive would they think that he would have by telling them to clean up the food to make it healthier for the
because people have been playing games with him. Like, there are other administrations that are like, yeah, we're going to ask for this, but in the background, we're actually going to have a regulation, and the regulation is going to screw them. And if they don't do it this way, then they're going to know. I mean, it's like a whole 4D chess game. And what's so crazy, the best thing that I ever heard about Trump, take him seriously, but not literally. Take him seriously because he wants you to do something on it. Mm-hmm. So if he's saying, I can only think of Iran right now, but like he's saying, I'm gonna like destroy all parts of Iran if you don't. He may mean that and he may not, but take him seriously, but maybe not literally. Like, maybe he's not gonna take out all these different pieces of infrastructure, but you should take him serious as hell. So tariffs, same thing. Healthcare, same thing. Maybe he's not going to, for healthcare and drug prices, maybe he's not going to artificially lower every single drug price in America to what Europe pays. You know what he's going to do? He's going to make it more affordable for Americans, and he's going to use the bully pulpit. So for Secretary Kennedy...
the bully pulpit.
Bully pulpit. Yeah. Bully pulpit. He's going to walk around and say, I love it. I'm going to bully you until you do what I want you to do. Yeah. So it was...
Because what he's asking him to do is what's best for America.
What's best for America.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's fun to work for someone like that because they just care about people.
Right.
So when I brought something to the secretary, I said, we should do this. Okay.
Oh, informative.
I just would say everyone's got to take back their health. The thing is, everything that you do with doctors now, and because, again, I love my doctor. I have great doctors. But you go into the doctor's office, and they don't expect you to ask questions. And I just would say to everyone, ask questions. When your doctor's like, hey, I'm going to give you this test, say, oh, hold up, please. How much is that going to cost? Because something that President Trump did is say they have to tell you how much it costs before you get the service, which is crazy because everything else you get in life, you get to pay, you get to know what it is before. But when you go to the doctor, ask them the price, and they're going to be shocked. Why do you need to know the price? Because I'm paying for it. And it could be $80, it could be $800, it could be $8,000. When people have medical debt, that means, you think, oh, maybe that they got hit by a bus. Maybe it's $100,000. They can't pay for that. It's like $800 to $1,500 of medical debt. And they're putting it on their credit card or they're financing it through the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because they didn't know the cost before they were like hooked you up to the EKG or the MRI or gave you a colonoscopy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, well, we already did it, so you have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you didn't tell me how much it was going to cost beforehand.
Right.
That's crazy.
So it's your right as an American citizen to question your doctor about everything, how much it costs, what's in it,
Yep.
what is the potential side effects. Yeah, you are encouraged to question your doctors about any and everything that is being done to you.
Yep.
You should take your health back. You should be more in charge and more accountable for your own health. Granted, I know some people are born with illnesses and diseases that are above and beyond their control, but we have a lot more power as people when it comes to our health than we are allowing ourselves to believe.
Yep.
I appreciate you giving the right information.
Well, this is fun.
I know, right? Well, that's going to do it for this episode of FlyZoneUSA. It's your big OG TrickTrick. Got to once again thank my lovely guest, Hannah Anderson. Thank you again for coming.
It's my pleasure. Anytime.
With my eyes and all that lovely game, you understand me? From the heart of Detroit to the soul of America. I see you here.